In this tutorial, we will cover basic copy, cut, and paste in Google Sheets, and then dive into some more of the specialized paste methods. Google Sheets standard copy, cut, and paste, along with Google Workspace products, follow the same set of shortcuts and layouts that is available on most machines. In this tutorial, I'll be using a PC, and most of the copy and paste shortcuts use the Control button. So if you are using a Mac, please replace the Control button with the Command key. Let's get cracking. Before you access copy and paste, first select the cell or the range. We'll start with the cell first. Here I'll select location. Then go to edit and you can see copy is here. So let's select that and move to an empty cell. Go back to edit and select paste. Done. I'll Control Z to remove that. Another approach is to select the cell again, right click and you can see copy here and paste, and you can do the same approach again. However, the shortcuts are vitally important to memorize here, so we'll try and use the shortcuts in future. So for the shortcut for copy is Control C, and to paste is Control V for Victor. Okay, I'll try that again, so let's undo. So I'll select the cell, hit Control and C, and to paste, Control and V. Alright, let's Control Z to remove that again. Now you can also use the cut command. Maybe you don't want location in that location. Weird joke, I know. So you can use the Control X shortcut or go to edit for cut, or again right click and find the cut. But we'll use the shortcut Control X. And you can see it's got the dotted lines here, and you can go back to another cell and press Control V to paste, and you can see now that location has been moved from B2 to K2. Let's Control Z to undo that one. Copy and paste will copy the data as is, including the formatting of the cells and text, alignment, wrapping and text angle, any formulas or data validation, and any merged cells. So let's have a quick look at an example here. So here I've got the USS Enterprise, and you can see that it's been merged from B to C. It's also bold and italicized. When we hit Control C to copy and paste over to K3, you can see that the cell is still merged, it's bold, italicized, and in blue. Control Z to undo that one. One thing to note is that it won't copy across the cell width or height. It is also good to know when formulas paste over, they will change their cell reference relative to the new position they're in. For example, if I grab this cell here in cell C6, you can see that there's a formula here, B6 divided by B5, which gives the result of 400%. If I copy this across on its own and paste it into, let's say, L6, you can see that there's a div error. But if you have a look at the formula up the top here, it is now referencing K6 divided by K5. So if we put some values in here, so let's say 4 and 30, you can now see that the formula is reading K6 divided by K5 and giving an actual value. This is really handy when you want to copy and paste across formulas, but just keep in mind that they are relative to the cell that they're in. The only time this isn't the case is when you use the absolute reference indicated by a dollar sign in a cell value. So for example, if I went over here and put a dollar sign next to the B6 and the B5, and hit enter, and then copy and paste over and delete these, you can now see that it's still referencing B6 and B5. Relative and absolute values of cell references are a bit too much for this tutorial, but you can find out more in the links in the description below. So the same applies for ranges as well. You can also copy and paste across ranges entire sheet tabs. So for example, if we copied all this data from here all the way across to the top, so I'm going to hold shift down and go up to A1, that will select everything, and I hit Control C to copy, and if I say want to put it next door, I can hit Control V to paste. And you can see everything in its same format has copied over to the right hand side where I wanted it. Now remember, you also note that it doesn't copy across the width of the data or the height. Let's hit Control Z to undo that. Okay, heading back. You can also copy across data from one cell tab, for example sheet 1 to sheet 2. So first I'm going to select this range here again. So this time I'm going to go Control Shift across to the left and then all the way up to select the data. Hit Control C to copy, and then over to cell A1 for example, we can hit paste, Control V. Great. Let's Control Z to undo that. You can also copy, cut, and paste from one sheet tab to another. Also, if we wanted to cut this data and paste it into a new sheet, we can select the range again, holding down Shift to select the range, and hit Control X for cut, and go to sheet 2. In A1, I can hit Control V, and if we go back to sheet 1, you can see the data is no longer there. Now we don't want that, so let's go back and hit Control Z to return everything back to where it belongs. Great. You can also copy and paste data from another Google Sheet. So let's have a look at another Google Sheet, and we'll select this range here. So I'll select it here, hold Shift down, and click B7, hit Control C to copy, and go back to our paste sheet and go to Sheet tab 2 and hit, let's put it in B4 and hit Control V to paste. And you can see all the formatting has followed along with it. The heights and width have not copied as well. So let's have a look. You can see it's a little bit wider here. Unfortunately, they do not copy across, and you'll have to change those manually. All right, let's Control Z to undo that and go back to our sheet. We'll stay on our sheet 2. You can also copy and paste from other document types, even web pages. So let's have a look at a text file, for example. I've got a text file example here, and I've got on one line cheesecake, carrots, and caramel, and bananas, berries, and bacon. Just keep in mind these cheesecake, carrots, and caramel are all separated by tabs. All right. The bananas, berries, and bacon obviously separated by commas. Let's see what happens when I copy it across. Control C to copy here, and let's go to our cell A1 in our sheet 2, and I hit Control V. As you can see here, anything that was tab separated is in a new cell across the row, but anything with a comma separation isn't. But anything on a new line returns into the next cell beneath the top one, if that makes sense. All right, let's Control Z to undo that. You can also copy and paste from an Excel document. Let's have a look. So I've got a document here, and it's been formatted with some fancy formatting, and there's a formula here that joins everything together. So keep an eye on that formula and the formatting, and the background color of that formula is a light blue, and let's see what happens. First, I'm going to select this range in my Excel document and press Control C to copy, and go back to my sheet and press Control V to paste, and you can see first up that the formatting isn't quite right. Okay, and then let's have a look at our formula. Great, the background color is still pretty good, but you can see the formula is now missing from the copy and paste. So please keep in mind that Google Sheets does its best to format things and bring it over exactly as it was found, but if it's missing a font or the data is a little bit different, it will produce a slightly different result. And of course, when copying and pasting from an open document format or Excel format, the formulas will not paste across. All right, Control Z to undo that. For websites and other files that contain formatting, Google Sheets will try and add the formatting for you too. So let's have a look at my website, one of my recent tutorials, and we'll grab just this bit of data here. And we'll hit Control C to copy and go back to our sheet, and we'll hit Control V to paste. And as you can see, they've tried to maintain the formatting as best they can, and it looks pretty good here. But it's probably best for you to just paste over the values. This will remove all the formatting, data validation, and formulas and just paste the values only. Let's go back to an example here. Let's say we want to paste this range again, and I'll select this range by clicking and dragging. I'll hit this time Control C to copy, and to paste just the values, you can go to Edit and Paste Special, and then Paste Values Only, or you can right click and Paste Special, Paste Values Only, or this is another one I think is a must-have to memorize, is to Control Shift and V for Paste Values Only. So let's click on cell K1 and hit Control Shift and V. And you can see the image is transferred across, but all the formatting, data validation, merge cells, and all other parts and formulas are all removed. Great. All right, we'll Control Z to undo that. Again, we can do the same with our Excel document. So let's go back to that and select it again, and Control C to copy, and we'll flip back over and press Control, Shift and V to paste values. And now you can see that only the values are in there for you to format as you see fit. Control Z to undo. Before we move on to other paste types, I just want to let you know that you can paste the same values or a range of values multiple times by selecting a range of cells before pasting. Let's check it out. So for example, if I've got day 1 here and I press Control C for copy, and over here I go to M and I click and hold it down and drag across to N, O, and P and press Control V to paste or Control Shift V to paste as a value, you can see that they've all been pasted out one after the other. I can also do it as a matrix, so I can click and go across the P and down to 12, and I can press, let's do paste value this time, Control Shift and V, and you can see they've all been pasted down, repeating one after the other. We can do the same with a range. So this time around, I'll grab the days and the entire range here by holding down Shift and clicking to the bottom, hit Control C to copy, and go over and let's go to M and O and P again and hit Control Shift and V. And you can see everything in that range has been copied across the columns. We can paste as far down as range is selected, but it will only do the full length, so it'll go from 1 to 10. So let's say if I select this range again and press Control C to copy, and we select all the way across and all the way down for a bit and see what happens. Let's do values. Control Shift and V to paste as values, and you can see our entire range has been pasted all the way down to the bottom here. Let's Control Z to undo. Pretty useful when you're doing multiple ranges of things. Okay, let's move on to another pasting type. Maybe you have a similar data set that you would like to format the same as your current set. In my example, maybe I have another set of locations and the data I want to display. So we can copy the data and paste just the format only, and then we can add in our values later. Let's have a look at see how that works. So again, I'm going to grab this range of values here, and I want to paste this formatting over into a new sheet tab. I'm going to press Control C to copy and go to our sheet 2 here. And this time around, we can go to Edit and Paste Special and Paste Format Only. Control Alt and V. For me, this is one that is necessary for you to memorize as a shortcut. So paste format only, and there it is. There's your formatting. Again, the spacing of the columns, the width of the columns and the height of the rows won't change, but all the formatting is there. Let's Control Z to undo that. Again, another way of accessing this is to right click, paste special, and paste format only here. Again, Control Z, go back, and we can use our shortcut as well. Control, Alt, and V to paste the formats. Cool. Alright, let's Control Z to undo. So Control Format will include the colors of the text and backgrounds, borders, merge cells, and conditional formatting. Let's paste that in again one last time, and we'll go Paste Special and Paste Format Only. And if we go back and we can see here that we've got conditional formatting every time the percentage increase reaches 1000, it is formatted as an orange color. So that's 1, 2, 3 rows, 3 columns across. And if I type in 1000, that will format conditionally as orange. But if I type in 200, it won't. It'll stay the same. So you can see that conditional formatting does go across. So Control Z, Control Z, and Control Z to remove that. Okay, we can do a standard copy and paste like we did at the very beginning, but excluding the borders. So I've got our range again, so it's still selected, but I'll copy it one more time. So I'll hold Shift down and select the A1 cell and hit Control C to copy and go across. And this time around we will right click and go Paste Special, and you can see Paste All except Borders. And let's see what happens. As you can see, it's identical to a standard paste, but it's missing the borders. From C and D, E and F, and G and H, they all have these blue borders in them, and let's go back to sheet 2, they're all missing. Cool. Control Z. Okay, let's move on to paste column widths only. Earlier, when we did a straight paste of our data range, it didn't keep the column width. We can paste the column width with paste column widths only. Oh, that's a tongue twister. So, this is probably more useful when you're copying and pasting over data and then following up with a paste column widths only paste. So let's do that. First, we're going to select this range again. I'm going to hold Shift down, click A1 and press Control C to copy. Let's go back to our sheet 2. Let's modify these columns a bit so we can see the extremes that it will go to modify the width. So they're a little bit thinner now. Okay, cool. So I'll press Control V to do the standard paste, and you can see the widths aren't exactly right. So now we can right click A1 again, and we can go paste column widths only, and you can see all the widths have now been adjusted to match what was in what we copied earlier. Control Z to undo. So we can also paste formulas across only. This will paste any formula it finds in a cell. If it doesn't find a formula, it will paste the values of the cell over. This is also useful if you are creating a similar data set quickly. So let's have a look. Let's just grab this numbers and percentage all the way down to, let's say, C8. I'll hold Shift down and click C8. And to copy, press Control and C and go to our sheet. Okay, so we'll paste this in A1. So right click and go to Paste Special and down to Paste Formulas Only. You can see all the formatting isn't there, but you can see the numbers have been put in, and then we've got our formulas in here too. You can see that they're only resulting in 4 because they're being divided by each other. As a percentage, they would be 400. So let's we can change these to a percent if you like by holding Shift down and selecting the range and going to percent, and you can see that they are indeed a percentage. That's it for paste formulas only, and let's move on to the next bit. Okay, we can also paste just the data validation. Let's see how that looks. So down the bottom here, I have data validation, which is a list of different locations and their percentage below. I can paste this data validation across to a different cell. So for example, Control C to copy again, and I will select F19 this time to make it easier. And let's go to edit this time. We can go paste special and paste data validation only. And this time when we select, we can see we have the same data validation as we have in our copied cell. All right, Control Z to undo. We can also paste across our conditional formatting only. So up here you saw our conditional formatting for our 1000%. Let's select this range here from A5 down to, and hold Shift down to I14 to select it, and Control C to copy. And let's move it over to our sheet 2, and we'll right click and go Paste Special, Conditional Formatting Only. Now this is a little bit trickier to see, but if we remember 1, 2, 3 across, we'll have our conditional formatting. So if I type in 10, which is 1000%, it will conditional format for us. And if we go over 2 more, which would be E, and we type in 10, which is 1000%, well, let's maintain its percentage, so it'll be just fine. It'll go across, and so on. 10, and it'll format. If I type in 8, it won't format. Okay, cool. Let's Control Z. Let's select all of that this time and press Delete. And we want to clear, so we'll press Control and backslash to clear all the formatting in there. Okay, back to sheet 1. Finally, we have paste transposed. I really love this paste method. This means that the data will transform to a row of data to a column, or a column of data to a row. You can use this on a single rows of columns or matrices of columns. Let's have a look. So for example, say I had this list of days here and I want to transpose them from a column across to a row in this cell here. So I can press Control C to copy and go over to E20, right click, paste special, paste transposed. And you can see now they're running horizontally across the row. So Control Z to undo that one. Okay, so let's try a little matrix here. So I've got this day 1 all the way down to this first set of values. So I'll copy those by holding Shift down and selecting that last cell. Control C to copy. And we'll click on E20, right click, paste special, paste transposed. And again, they've been transposed this way. I can transpose this data again to make them vertical. So I can click on this, Control C to copy. And we could transpose it again if we want to be a bit silly and hit paste transposed, and it's back the way it was. Okay, That was a huge lesson on copy, cut, and paste for Google Sheets, but it is a vital lesson to understand to help you really improve your Google Sheets work. But I think learning copy, cut, and paste and the associated shortcuts are really vital for your performance in using Google Sheets. If you liked the tutorial, hit the like button, and if you want to subscribe to see more, hit subscribe. I'll catch you in the next tutorial.